Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming back. Hopefully, you've already viewed the first few in this series, 8 things to financially accomplish in each decade of your life. So we've already done the 20s, we've done the 30s, 40s, 50s, and now the pivotal time in life, the 60s. Most people transition into retirement in their 60s. So this is where a good financial advisor can actually earn their keep. So let's jump in here and talk about each of these things that we must accomplish. So let's start with health. Some of us wake up a little earlier and realize health becomes more important later in life. I realized it luckily in my 40s that I've got to start taking care of myself. And so health becomes very important. We need to make sure as we transition into retirement, we create new habits, okay? In our work life, if we were a healthy in our 40s and 50s, then we created good habits around our work schedule. But as we transition into retirement, we don't want to just go sit on the couch. So we've got to create these new routines in our life. We've got to get our exercise. We've got to eat healthy, because this is really the secret of you actually enjoying retirement all the way through your 70s. I've seen it in all of our clients. The ones that lead somewhat active, healthy life, they're enjoying their 70s like they're 50, all right? So it's really important to create new habits as you transition into retirement. The next one is making sure that our health insurance is taken care of. Medicare supplements, Medicare Advantage. We need to make our decisions on this because at 65, we need to apply for our Medicare Part A, Part B, and sometimes Part D. Everybody's going to be different in these scenarios, but Part A is our hospital insurance, Part B is our medical insurance, and for most people, the supplements are the best way to go, especially if you're going to travel, okay? Supplement basically says we pay everything Medicare doesn't pay. So if you get Plan G, it's all regulated, it's just the customer service and the price. So if you get Plan G, the only thing you're on the line for is the hospital in-stay Part B deductible, which is $226 a year. That's it. So if you've got your Medicare insurance and you've got a supplement, you don't have any networks, you don't have anything to worry about. If you're traveling around, you've got the best coverage you could possibly get. Now, some people move to the Medicare Advantage plans because they feel like they're less expensive. They feel like they are free in some cases. But we have to understand the difference. Now you're in more of a traditional health insurance. You have a network you have to stay within. You have deductibles, you have co-pays. And so now you've got to understand that throughout the year, if you're healthy, great, that'll be a cheaper plan. But if you're not healthy and you are using your insurance, then you're probably paying co-pays and deductibles and all this extra stuff along the way, and they become much more expensive very quickly, especially if you end up having a doctor that's out of network, okay? So that's why people that travel, people that move around quite a bit, the supplement is typically the best way to go. Number 3, okay? You have to have ambition in retirement. Please have ambition in retirement. Please don't retire and sit on the couch and do nothing. Please. This is so important, okay? Because there are plenty of type A people out there that work, go, and then get to retirement and go, oh, what do I do now? And don't enjoy retirement and don't live long. We have to have ambition in retirement. We have to enjoy retirement. We have to have a bucket list of things that we've always wanted to get to and do. Places to go, things to do, the hobbies that give you enjoyment, that get you up, get you moving around. And then there's priorities like grandkids and things like that. So please sit down before you retire and figure out what you're going to do in retirement. That is incredibly important. Number 4, okay, know your retirement budget. Please, at this point in life, we should be responsible enough to understand what kind of bills we have, what kind of I have to pays we have. What does our shelter cost? What does the food cost? The grocery bills cost? What what are the insurances we pay for and taxes we have to pay, okay? Then you break down your I want to pays, the budget of travel, your idea of taking a trip this year, does it cost you $5,000, $10,000, $25,000? Everybody's different in their idea of travel. What do your hobbies cost you? What's the fun, the good stuff? What are we adding to the budget that we want to add? And then kind of do a run through of the emergencies and bigger stuff that you're going to see in retirement. How many more cars do you think you're going to have? How soon are you going to need a new car? Second home, is that there? Are you going to get a condo in Cabo, right? Do we have expensive kids? We've got clients that are retired that are taking care of small children. We've got clients that are still paying for college. There's a lot of different things that come up in people's lives. Long-term care, do we have insurance? Are we planning on covering it ourselves? So we've got to go through and have a good idea of our budget. And if you're married, this includes both of you, okay? This is not just one person's job. We need to understand the finances and have a good grasp on it, because it's going to help us feel more comfortable about money in retirement. So, number 5. Learn how to be comfortable spending your savings. Okay, so knowing your budget is the first part of that. Understanding your budget, understanding how much you need every month to pay the base living expenses. So that's the first part. Guaranteed income should cover all those base living expenses. They should make sure the shelter is over your head. They should make sure the food is in your mouth. All the basics are paid for. That's what guaranteed income is for. So Social Security pension income is typically designed to cover those base living expenses. Survival mode, if we know we have survival mode taken care of, well, then we can start figuring out how much of our savings we can spend on the fun stuff. And so I go through this math quite often. In a lot of my other classes, I talk about this math because it's really empowering to help you understand how much you can spend and how much savings you have and what it really means to you in retirement. So my example here is 65-year-old with $1 million in savings. You got 35 years till you're 100 years old. All I do is divide the $1 million by 35, and we come up with $28,000 that you can spend every single year until you're 100 years old. So if your guaranteed income in this example of $40,000 covers all your base living expenses, that means you have $28,000 a year to fritter away on anything that you want. And that's at zero growth. Zero growth. For the purpose of keeping up with inflation, because every year you get a little bit of growth, then we recalculate, you're 1 year older and you had growth in the portfolio, so now your withdrawal is going to be bigger. Your next year's withdrawal will be bigger and then bigger and bigger, and that's going to help you keep up with inflation. That is the enviable situation for most retirees, is having that income that pays the bills and having the savings at zero growth supporting their retirement, and all the growth is there just to help combat inflation. Okay, then the other side of it is making sure that we have safe investments to withdraw from when the market is down. This is important for that stability. This is important for you to not go year over year over year saying, well, the market's doing great, let's go enjoy our retirement. The market's not doing well, we need to hunker down and not spend any money this year. We need to have more stable investments to provide a more consistent, enjoyable retirement instead of being at the mercy of the market. Okay, so that's really the secret to becoming comfortable spending your savings in retirement. So number 6 is understanding that we have to adjust our portfolio for this. Okay, so we've got to understand that every part of our portfolio should be treated differently. So starting with IRA, everything is taxed as ordinary income. And I'll be honest, the day you retire, you should always be focusing withdrawals on IRA money. We got to save that money and build that nest egg completely tax-free. The day you retire, We have to pay attention to that and get it out at the lowest taxation possible going forward. And that means spreading it out as much as we can, okay? So from 10,000 feet, if there's any part of our portfolio that we're going to pull from consistently for the rest of our life, it's the IRA. IRA savings has the most consistent withdrawals from it going forward for the rest of your life. So because of that, stable, safe portfolio is going to perform much better. IRA money, you got to spend it. Your kids don't want it. Roth money, on the other hand, is your kids' favorite money. Everything is completely tax-free, and your kids get to inherit it and let it sit and grow for 10 years without any taxation. And then they can pull it all out completely tax-free. It's the greatest money ever for heirs, okay? Now, if you want to use it for your own retirement, then the higher yielding type investing can work out great, creating passive income for you that is completely tax-free. So those publicly traded REITs, stay away from the private stuff. The publicly traded REITs, master limited partnerships, some of those more extravagant income producing portfolios are terrible on taxation unless they're in Roth, okay? So you want to have aggressive growth, you want to have aggressive income, you want to have aggressive anything. There's no tax consequences here. So we always want to treat that Roth money differently than our IRA, okay? Depending on how you're going to use it. And then the after-tax portfolio, every choice we make on the investments within this portfolio are going to get taxed completely different. So please pay attention to this. No more high turnover mutual funds that cause taxation when you didn't buy or sell or do anything, okay? We got to adjust this portfolio, and we have to understand taxation. Long-term capital gains and qualified dividends are tax advantaged. They are much lower taxation, and for a lot of people, they're zero taxation if we can control the portfolio properly. So we have to pay attention to adjusting this portfolio for retirement and treating each tax class differently. The next part of this is maximizing our guaranteed income. We have to understand the numbers. We can make personal choices from there. If we don't have longevity in the family and we're not healthy, then maybe we want to take Social Security earlier. But this premise really applies to not only your own situation, but your heirs situation, or your spouse's situation. So we have to think about if it's a married couple. So what you have here going down is the age that you take Social Security. And then going across the top is the year that you pass away, how old you are the year you pass away. Okay, now if you're married, typically the surviving spouse is going to receive the higher of the two Social Securities. There's a couple of little exceptions here and there. If the surviving spouse took their Social Security early, then they get an adjusted version of it. So that's one. And you know, there's time of marriage and how you passed away. There's some anomalies, you know, like you can't kill your spouse. You're not going to get their Social Security. So barring any crazy circumstances like that, when we look at the top row, we have to think about this as will one of you live at least to 85? Okay. If we think at least one of you will live to at least 85, then the higher of the two wage earners should wait as long as they can to take Social Security. And that's based on the dollars and cents. The crossover break even is mid 80s, early to mid 80s. Okay. So if you take it 62 and you pass away at 72, you made the right decision. That's great. But if you live to 85, 90, 95, 100, you should have waited till 70 to take your Social Security. Okay, so understanding the numbers helps us make the decisions. Everybody's in different circumstances. When there's spouses involved, we typically put the pressure on the higher wage earner to wait as long as possible. Okay. Now, focus on IRA upon retirement. So I touched on this earlier. The reality is the day you retire, typically your income goes down, okay? They've called IRAs ticking time bombs, tax time bombs. Look, there's a lot of fancy ways to sell you on pushing all your money to Roth, but the only way that makes sense ever is spreading out the taxation as long as you can. When you look at our tax brackets, you have to understand that one really big year of taxation, a whole bunch of income, pushes us way into 20s, 30% tax ranges. But by spreading it out, you could manage your life in 12% taxation. Now, this is 2020's or 2022's tax brackets. 2023 bumped it up quite a bit. So if you're single and over 65 in 2023, the 12% tax bracket allows $60,000 worth of income. If you're married, it's $120,000. If you can live your life under $120,000 and fill up that tax bracket each year by pulling a little extra out of your IRA on purpose, that's a great thing. Choose to pay 12% as much as you can, because at this point in 2026, the tax returns or tax brackets will all change. Okay, 12 becomes 15, 22 becomes 25, and then it keeps going from there. So we have to be proactive. The day you retire, we've got to have a plan for that IRA. If you don't need it, and we can pull it out at low taxation, we can convert it to Roth. That's important. This also plays into delaying that Social Security. I don't want to take Social Security and be pulling a whole bunch of money out of IRA when I can just pull out of IRA and wait on Social Security. So there's a lot of planning that can be done here to optimize your portfolio. So hopefully this helps. This is really important for those people that are in their 60s or heading into their 60s to have an understanding of all this stuff that we got to do to get ready for that retirement so we can actually enjoy retirement. I'm really passionate about this phase of life. The 50s, 60s, and 70s really are important times to be able to pay attention and understand the transitioning into retirement and the finances in retirement, because it liberates you. It helps you enjoy your retirement. And that's what really gets me going. And that's why I feel like good financial advisors really earn their keep in your 50s, 60s, and 70s. Honestly, everybody else doesn't need financial advisors. Work myself out of a job. The 20-year-olds, I mentioned it. The 30-year-olds, I mentioned it. The 40-year-olds, I mentioned it. To be real honest, I don't want you paying fees in your 20s, 30s, 40s. When you start getting into your 50s, you start thinking about retirement. You want to start adjusting the portfolio. You want to start thinking about how you're going to produce income in retirement. Now the 60s, holy cow, there's so many really important things that you should do just so you will be able to enjoy your retirement. So hopefully this helps. Next week, I'm sure I'll have the 70s ready for you. So keep coming back, subscribe, share these videos with your friends. We got tons of videos on this YouTube page. I hope you enjoy them and keep coming back. I add stuff every single week, and we got a bunch of other series that I just put out there as well. Thanks again. Hope to see you next week.